So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Hare Krishna, friends, how are you? Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are doing good. So, Sukhe Dukhe Bhulo Nako. Vaishnavacharyas, they have given us instruction Sukhe Dukhe Bhulo Nako. Either in happiness or in distress. We should never forget the Supreme Lord. That is the instruction. Sukhe Dukhe Bhulo Nako. One should always, and that is one of the principles of surrender, always remember Krishna and never forget him. Now, how to remember Krishna? Of course, Smaranam, in the mind, in the words, Manasa Vacha Karmana. Three things. Manasa, Vacha and Karmana. Actually, these nine Navada Bhakti, what we say, is actually the eternal occupation of every living entity. Navada Bhakti, what we say, is actually the eternal occupation, eternal occupation of every living entity. Every living entity, constitutional position, in his constitutional position, he is engaged in all these nine activities. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pasevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. The soul, the living being, do not belong to this material world. We get information from the Vedic literature, we get information from the teachings of Swami Shrila Prabhupada. We get information, from all the Vedic literatures that the spirit soul or the living being or the living entity do not belong to this material world, which is temporary, ashashvatam. He belongs to the spiritual world, and in the spiritual world, one is always engaged. One is always engaged in these nine processes of bhakti. Manasa, Vacha, Karmana, by mind, by words, and by actions. One is always, in touch with the Supreme Lord. One can also touch the Supreme Lord in his mind actually. By his words. Namna Makari Bahudash Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrar Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadrishi Tab Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdeva Midrishamiha Janina Anuragaha. So these nine processes, Navada Bhakti Vishesh, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, are the way, to truly speaking, in the sadhan bhakti process. Of course, these things, in the Raganuga bhakti, or when that stage is reached, or when the spirit soul or when the living being is transferred back to the spiritual world, there he is naturally engaged into all these activities. And all these activities, collectively, they are called bhakti or devotional service to the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Being. And Lord has many forms, Krishna being the topmost, and then he has many other, Rama, Narsimha, Vamana. And in the spiritual world, there are spiritual planets, Loka, Goloka Dham, Dwarka Dham, the Vaikuntha Lokas, Ayodhya Dham, even Sadashiva Loka is also above. the Brahma Jyoti. It is said, we get the information from the Vedic literature. Swami Prabhupada has very nicely explained and given all these information to all of us through his books and through his lectures, through his conversations. So it is very, very important, when we are here, when we are in this material world, when we are in, this temporary existence, and very good fortune, by very good fortune, we are practicing Krishna consciousness, the process of sadhana bhakti. So it is very, very important to remember to be in touch with the Supreme Lord always. As we have discussed, and as Swami Srila Prabhupada, as the scriptures are saying, this material world is a very, very dangerous place. And so the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord, she has got two potencies, Avaranatmika and Prakshepatmika. Avaranatmika and Prakshepatmika. Avaranatmika. She covers the real knowledge of the living entity. She covers the real knowledge. Why she is covering, and Prakshepatmika. She throws the living being again into this material world. Why she is doing that? Because she knows very well, that all the living entities who are here in this material world are fallen souls. They somehow or other, they have fallen to this material world out of Iksha and Dvesha. Out of Iksha and Dvesha, they have fallen to this material world, and lot of they are filled, their hearts are filled with a lot of anarthas, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mad, matsarya. So they are not fit to live in the spiritual world. So because they are not fit to live in the spiritual world, they have to live in this material world. And being eternal mother, even Durga Devi or Maya, she is mother of all the living entities. So, no one wants to see, no mother wants to see their children in distress. So somehow, if the living entity, if the living entity comes to knowledge, then he will be in distress. So, when one gets little knowledge and he do not practice properly, so he may come to distress. And one may also try to cheat through knowledge, because the living entity has all the defects in his heart. So he may try to misutilize or misuse the spiritual knowledge again for his material pursuits. So the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord, she throws the living entity back into the material pool, and she covers his knowledge so that he keep on, artificially enjoying in this material world, enjoying in suffering. Of course, there is only suffering, but artificially, out of illusion, one thinks that he is enjoying. So, Sukhe, Dukhe, the instruction is either in pain or in happiness. Both pain and pleasure in true sense, they are all illusion only. Both pains and pleasure, they are all illusion only. But the instruction is one should always remember the Supreme Lord. By doing this, one will be able to, either in pain or in pleasure, one will be able to keep himself samaha, sama sukha dukha dhiraha. So one will be able to keep himself equipoised. One will be able to maintain the equilibrium of his mind, and will be able to aim to advance in Krishna consciousness, to advance in spiritual life. So either in happiness or in distress, one should never forget, and one should constantly engage as much as possible. At least Swami Srila Prabhupada has requested 2 hours of chanting. So 24 hours we have, and a real devotee, a person who is, who has actually taken to devotional service, who has given up this, a real renunciant, he engages 24 hours. A real renunciant, a real devotee who is not interested in this material world actually remembers 24 hours. But for all the sadhakas, as much as possible. As much as possible, because Krishna hai Surya Sama, Maya hai Andhakar. Vaishnava Acharyas have explained that Krishna Surya Sama, Maya hai Andhakar, Jahan Krishna, Taha nahi Maya ra Adhikar. So it is very, very important to touch Krishna always, because whenever or wherever there will be leniency, there is Maya gets an opportunity. And why Maya gets an opportunity? Because truly speaking, the sadhakas or all of us, those who are, and never ever we should, have pride that now I have become I have perfected myself, and I am not attached, because a little leniency, we can again fall back into the material pool. But that is the process. That is the process of sadhana bhakti. Even if 1,000 times we fall, we have to get up and start walking again. We have to get up and start walking again, because ultimately there is no happiness. Ultimately, truly speaking, as the knowledge and we get from the scriptures, and we can realize, if we keep ourselves always in touch with the Supreme Lord, then we can very clearly see that all the proposals for happiness, or all the advertisements for happiness in this world, are all fake. They are simply promising some temporary happiness. And how long? But yeah, time to time we get entrapped. Time to time we are carried away by all these things. But the sadhana bhakti, it is as requested by Swami Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, we should be very, very vigilant not to become lenient, and we should try our best to always chant, to always meditate, to always remember as far as possible, whenever we get time, our worldly duties. We have to maintain ourselves for the upkeep of the body as per one's mental and intellectual situation. One has to maintain himself, but still, as far as possible, we should engage ourselves in the various processes of sadhana bhakti. We should engage and ourselves in the various processes of sadhana bhakti: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, as far as possible. and keep ourselves always in touch with the Supreme Lord through these processes of sadhana bhakti, and keep ourselves away from Maya as far as possible. We should also pray in our heart, O Mother, I am here in this material world from time immemorial. So I beg forgiveness for all my offenses, and my heart is filled with anarthas, and my heart is filled with sinful tendencies. So please bless me so that I can perfect my life, so that I can go back home, back to Godhead, go back to my eternal place. But before that, may I, become a pure devotee. May my heart, real love and real devotion. And truly speaking, Maya will also let us, Maya will also live in that way. Or live, and it is also said that Mahatmanam tumam partha devim prakriti mashrita. So those who are real Mahatmas, those who are endeavoring, you know, truthfully, faithfully on this, sincerely on this path, they are not controlled by the illusory energy. They are under the shelter of the transcendental. They are under the shelter of the transcendental Radharani potency, Alladini Shakti of the Supreme Lord. So, the ultimate goal is to remember Lord 24 hours a day. That is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is one should come to that point, but it is not easy. But slowly and steadily, as Lord Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagya cha grihate. By practicing, it is possible that one can come to that stage of complete renunciation, when one is fully detached from this material world and one is fully attached to the Supreme Lord, to the spiritual world, to his devotional service. So, dear friends, let's practice the process of sadhana bhakti, in our life as far as possible. At least one place Swami Srila Prabhupada says, if you chant 16 rounds every day, no power in the three world can make you fall down. So these are the words of Swami Srila Prabhupada, an Acharya, a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. He is saying, if you chant 16 rounds, some people may say quality, of course quality matters, but because if one follows the instruction of the spiritual master, follows the instruction of an Acharya, he has asked to chant 16 round 2 hours of chanting, and then he is promising no power in the three worlds. So if it is the promise of Srila Prabhupada, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakteya pranashyati, Lord Shri Krishna says. So just to keep the words of Swami Srila Prabhupada, Lord Shri Krishna will surely protect. And those who are chanting 16 rounds, truly speaking, others may criticize them, but they can never be fallen. A person who is chanting 16 rounds every day, at least 16 rounds every day, cannot be fallen. So, yeah, the life can have many ups and downs. One can go through various phases of life, but one who is chanting 16 rounds, 2 hours of chanting, and as far as possible, we should try to chant attentively, with love, with devotion, with utmost sincerity. We should give our 100%, But Swami Srila Prabhupada is promising, so we should have faith in his words. that no power in the three worlds. One can be in lot of distress. One can be in a very, one can be in the hospital and, can have a deadly disease and a very, very, um precarious situation. But still, in that situation also, we should have faith. No, no. Let me chant as far as possible. Let me chant, try to fulfill the orders of, the instructions of a pure devotee, Swami Srila Prabhupada, and rest assured that no power in the three worlds will be able to make us fall down. So if one chants 16 rounds, Swami Srila Prabhupada says, you know, if our Krishna consciousness will not get completed, then again we'll get chance. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. But yeah, everyone should aspire to complete all his Krishna consciousness business in this very life. That is also request of Swami Srila Prabhupada, because who has seen the next life? In this life we have got this opportunity. In this life we have got, the Bhakti Lata Beach. So we should try our best to perfect, our or finish our Krishna consciousness business in this very life and perfect ourselves. So it is very, very important, dear friends, to chant, follow the instructions of Swami Srila Prabhupada, and read his books, to engage in the other processes of bhakti, and should not be lenient in any way, so that we lose this opportunity. And of course, Lord is there to help us. May Lord Shri Krishna, may Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bless all the sadhakas in their mission, all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees. So with this I would stop here, and we'll meet again. So let's try to follow Krishna consciousness, the process of sadhana bhakti, to the best, the best of our capacity, as much as our mind, body, intellect, circumstances allow us. We should practice Krishna consciousness on a day-to-day basis in our lives. So may Srila Prabhupada, may Lord Chaitanya, may Holy Name, may Lord Krishna bless us all. All glories to His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.